Well, we'll start with last week. You talked in the aftermath of how to bottle that feeling. It was like an early days Premiership win. It was a special feeling after Friday night.
Well, I think it was a special feeling, probably just based on the disappointment of the week before and a few frustrations, and probably is just getting back to what's important, and that's what it felt like. It just felt like it was a group of lads turned out to play a game of rugby, be there for each other, back each other up, and then come away with some success. And maybe it's something that as a group we've kind of lost a little bit with an expectation of regularly winning. The one thing that does happen is the wins become, whatever anybody says, they become a bit less of milestones and a bit less enjoyable. And I think this is really important for us. I think we really need to set ourselves out some markers across the season and some milestones and celebrate them. And that's really what I'm going to be aiming and talking to the lads a lot about, is that we do talk a lot about games of rugby being a privilege, and we're very lucky to be involved with them. But you can talk about it a lot, but that feeling can wane, and it's something we've really got to decide we really want to reignite, and because that could be a huge driver for us through the whole season.
Was it the ideal response to the London Irish performance? Because you talked about the real frustration, the disappointment, of just how the way the team performed that day. Well,
in a lot of ways, it couldn't have been much better, because there was a real challenge going up there. Gloucester had been on good form at home. Friday night, big crowd, everything was there. All the ingredients were there for it to be we had players and more players unavailable with some international guys disappearing out the side, and so the challenges were all there for us, and we met them all head on. We went points down again. We knew Gloucester's more would be one of their weapons, and obviously the first opportunity they got to use it, they scored from it. That could have been, like I say, all the reasons to turn around and go, it's not our night, were there, and we just refused to buckle. And actually, if you look at, it's one of those performances, it's not until you sometimes reflect and look at the tackle stats that Gloucester had to make that you realise actually how determined we were to come through in that game. And Gloucester didn't just wilt, did they? They didn't just wilt under that pressure. They worked hard to try and stop us. And then, but ultimately, in the end, we probably had more control in the game than it felt like, because I know we feel like probably we're under that bit of pressure in that closing couple of minutes. But we're actually only under pressure because we haven't capitalised on some opportunities that we potentially could have done, and that includes obviously missing some kicks, and there was certainly one other really golden try scoring opportunity we missed as well. So they're there as well, and they're real. But at the same time, that performance, as I said after the game, it wasn't about breaking down all the details of what was on the pitch. It's about rebuilding that emotion and that drive and that energy to stick at what we do and keep driving each other and keep getting each other off the floor and keep getting on with things. And that's the thing we're going to focus on again this week.
I was going to say, you have to take it into this weekend, but Newcastle in a very similar position to London Irish, coming in with everything to win and nothing to lose.
Exactly. I mean, it's almost an exact replica of the situation we were in a couple of weeks ago. So now it's very much in our hands to change the outcome. And you change the outcome first of all by changing the first minute of the game. If we change the first minute of the game, we start the process of changing the outcome, and we don't really need to focus on much more than that.
Home form is something we've always built seasons on. What do you put this season down to? We haven't quite fired it.
Well, interestingly, we haven't always built. This is something that on reflection is quite interesting. On reflection, we haven't always built great seasons on it. We have had other seasons where, particularly in the first half of the season, our away form has been better. We've actually built most of our good seasons on the quality of our away form, which people will probably think a bit surprised about. But actually, we've been one of the top performing teams away from home, but we've also performed well at home. And so the two combined have led to those good seasons. At the moment, our performances away from home are pretty good, but we're probably below par at home. We were probably a little unfortunate to lose to Northampton, and if we'd have knocked that one over, it's a very close game, one more penalty kick either way. We knocked that one over, and we probably feel like we're sitting pretty now. But that one, then backed up by not such a good performance against London Irish, obviously with Worcester sandwiched in between, which was a good performance. It does feel a little bit like we've got to deliver this weekend just to make things feel right.
Injuries and unavailabilities again this week, but you do have people back, one of which is Sam Simmons. You've seen him this morning briefly.
Yeah.
He's frustrated, I'd imagine, that he's not involved, but you've got to use that frustration in a positive now.
Yeah, it's the same old story. Good for us, unfortunate for Sam. But at the same time, as you say, he's got to use that as a motivation. I genuinely think he'll be involved over the course of these games. and he gives himself the best opportunity to be involved and to be in the right shape by coming back, performing, having good impacts for us. That sets him up not only to be on form, but also to keep him in the eye of the England selectors. And so he's okay. He's a bit disappointed, a bit frustrated, as he should be. A player who wants to play international rugby should be frustrated when they get released from the camp. That's only natural. I wasn't expecting him to walk in this morning with a big smile on his face, because that would have been a bit odd. What I've seen is what I expected to see. But now he's a good guy. He's been a key member of our squad for years. He'll get his head down and he'll play well for us at the weekend.
And Yannis Kirsten comes back into the fold as well. Somebody you've missed, but big lump to bring back. Yeah,
Yannis Kirsten being declared fit and ready to play is obviously a big positive for us. Especially based on the fact that our back five of our scrum went very well last week. All the starting players played very well. Some of them having their best games of the season. We had good impact off the bench as well from Rusi, which was really important as well. To have another body available in the back five is great. Well, a couple of bodies available in the back five for us is great, and we just got to make sure we maximise that advantage.
What are the threat of Newcastle, Rob? What can we expect?
Well, it's a little bit like you say, that they're actually just having a good season where they look competitive. They've got their days. Carl Ferns is carrying up the middle of the field for them really well and giving them some really good targets. But then there's a couple of other forwards in there who are coming around the corner and creating damage as well. And then they've had pace out wide to finish things off. They've got that kind of comfort about how they play, which is challenging teams. But we've kind of got to get over that a little bit, and we've just got to make the weekend about ourselves. We're at home, should be another good crowd. It's an international weekend that tends to build very good atmospheres here. The crowd get in here early, they watch the England game, have a couple of drinks, and just start to get themselves ready to start rocking in the grandstands and stuff. And that's what we've got to do. We just got to give them something to get behind.
This will be the end of the Premiership block, and then obviously you'll turn your attentions to Premiership Cup next week. That'll be an opportunity for others, I'd imagine, to show what they're worth. Yeah,
well, pretty much everybody who's not featuring now, who's our academy guys who are at loan clubs, and some of the guys who kind of had some limited game time here now, they'll go straight into the team. We're not going to approach it just trying to run on through with these guys, because we've got to get our rest periods in now and our playing time balanced up, because we come out of this in a couple of weeks' time. Internationals will be finished. We go to Bath on a Friday night. We have Saracens at home, and then we're in the Heineken Cup. So our run into Christmas is going to be important for us. In a lot of ways, our season could be defined by the month after the Prem Cup. And so whatever we do, we're going to make sure we're absolutely flying when those games return.